you are married, you have open relationship. Can you kind of talk to me about it?
There are so many ways to love. Like, I grew up in a Catholic church, and you don't think about being queer. As I got older, I fell in love with my partner when I was 18. We are both queer.
So there's no infidelity in open relationship?
Well, I mean, you can absolutely cheat in an open relationship. I don't know. Everyone's allowed to have their own version of love.
True.
And I have a lot of people ask me questions about my lifestyle because I think a lot of people would love to have a life like mine.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Be Frank Podcast, where we bring you exciting stories and an incredible individual and rocking the world with the passion and talent. Let me tell you about today's guest. She's not just an actor, but also a spin class guru who is spinning her way into the hearts of many. And that's not all. She's a motivational force of spreading positivity and the good vibes wherever she goes. If you are eager to boost your charisma and get in shape, or even dream of becoming a fitness instructor, leading kick-ass spin class, yoga sessions, personal fitness training, and then this episode may be a tailor-made for you. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Kaylene.
Hi.
I forgot to change the last name. How do you what's your actor name?
Snarsky.
Well, thank you for coming. Welcome to the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So what have you been up to?
Oh, man, I've been around the world and back. I just finished working on a musical with Lyric Theater of Oklahoma, and now I'm kind of in a nice little, not rest period. I never really rest.
Yeah.
But just a period of reigniting, re-inspiring. I've been really wanting to dive into some things that I've been working on for myself, and I finally have a little bit of space in my life to do that. Every week I teach a lot of spin class, so like anywhere from 7 to like 11 classes a week, which is kind of crazy. And so I'm trying, you have to learn to balance your energy in that world. So when I'm doing that and a show and this, and I host karaoke on Thursday nights, sometimes it gets to be a lot, but right now I'm kind of trying to wind down and spend more time with myself so that I can get back into a creative habit again. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Nice. So you do a lot of like acting, musical, and then you teach spin class. So we're talking about like spinning instructor, and then like acting career is kind of like parallel career for you, right?
Yeah. I took this class in New York when I was living there, and my instructor, Jen Waldman, used to talk about, the ways you can supplement your life as an artist. You can have a survival job. So a lot of us call it survival job is working in a restaurant or working in a yoga studio, like front desk, or, something that you just do to make money to support yourself to live.
Yeah.
Then there's a thrival job where it's like you could actually really love being a server, but it's not what you want to do in your life. But being a server brings you joy, and you go to that job and you're happy when you come home at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
And then we talk parallel careers. So it's like, as an actor, I am also a spin instructor, and that takes a lot of me and myself. And it's a career that I've built for me that actually means a lot to me. And it's a way I identify myself. I am a spin instructor. I don't necessarily introduce myself as a server at a restaurant, So it's like, I've found that instructing spin really brings a lot of what I love to do. My why is to illuminate the path so that we can run toward the power of possibility. And so being able to be in a space where I can illuminate the power in people, illuminate the joy in people, show them a stronger version of themselves, as I can do with a character on screen or on stage by reflecting humanity. I can do that on the podium as an instructor. And so I've found that really is a parallel career for me. It's something that I really value and make space for, because it's aligned with who I am and my value.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like you said thrival job.
Thrival, yeah.
I never heard that before. And then like, I think that a lot of people who come here either like they do this and that, or like but they don't really talk about their side job, right?
Yeah.
Like artists, and then like, so that's why I love how you said it. It's like, it's just both is important, both is making you happy.
Yeah.
And then so why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm notorious for being someone who has a lot of jobs, just because I value a good quality of life, and some of my jobs that are passion jobs do not offer me consistent work. So I've been a server for like, I want to say 3 years. And it's a job that I really love because it also connects me with people. I can also observe people. I get to, I take notes on my phone of characters that I would like to use and build off of people that I serve at a table. But it's not like a glamorous job that I'm really excited to talk about. Aubrey Plaza has this awesome interview where she would talk about when she was a server in LA, when she was like trying to make it as an actor. And she was saying that like being a server challenged her in her manipulation tactic and like in her artistry with how she talked to people and developing characters and learning how to win. Yeah. Like every table that I serve, I learn how to win. And that ultimately helps me as an actor.
That's awesome.
And it ultimately helps me understand humans better. And so it is a thrival job to me. I wouldn't say that serving is a survival job to me because I genuinely really enjoy it as well.
That's awesome.
I try not to do anything I don't enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I went to your spin class and then like a CYCLEBAR, like shout out to CYCLEBAR.
Shout out
class
CYCLEBAR.
and location. But like, I mean, like when I went there, like it was like almost like you're like a DJ slash like a motivational speaker. Like, can you kind of explain like what you do at that like CYCLEBAR?
Yeah, absolutely. I just dig CYCLEBAR. I think that it's such a special brand. It's a very inclusive brand, and inclusive when it comes to who can ride and who is welcome in that space. I mean, anyone and everyone is welcome. Yeah. We try to make it as accessible as possible. And then when it comes to the music, we try to play music for the masses. So it's my job. Every single class that I teach is a different playlist. I cultivate and curate that music specifically for what I'm trying to do with that class. Yeah. You know, you could go and phone it in and pick songs that follow a certain RPM and put them all next to each other, but it doesn't craft the experience that you had there. I care so much about the experience. I think being an actor, knowing that it has to go through an arc. You know, you have to go through a journey every single time you go in there. And that's why it's an elevated, more boutique fitness experience, because we as instructors don't want you to just come in class, work out, burn calories, go home. Yeah. We want you to feel something. We want you to connect deeper. And that's something that I personally want for all of my people. So I spend hours on Spotify, on SoundCloud, choosing music that not only makes you feel like a badass, but it makes you introspect and think about how could I make some changes in my life that I really need to make, or what's standing in my way right now? Where is my motivation lying? Am I here? Am I present? Yeah. Or am I thinking of what I need to make for dinner tonight? How am I utilizing these 30, 45, 60 minutes for me? Because we spend so much time in this world giving to other people that I think what I love the most about teaching spin is you are doing that for you. When you go to the gym and you lift weights, you're not doing it for anyone else. Yeah. Your muscles are yours. You're working them out. It is like the most present you can feel in your body in that flow state. Yeah. And so what I try to do in every class that I build is give people the opportunity not only to feel the closest to themselves, but also create a plan of how they can continue to do that. Because if you are given just that 30 minutes or just that 45 minutes, just that 60 minutes in your entire day, I want it to be sacred. Wow. Like, so it's a journey like that. I really try to craft. I
love that. I noticed that too, because like I didn't like compartmentalize like how you said it, but like whenever I went to your spin class, like you asked me like what kind of music you like. I'm like Kanye. Yeah. And then you put the thing in the first. Yeah. And then like I noticed because I teach everybody like who works here or like a creative of whoever making videos or something like that is like you can't always have like a good and best like a whole time.
Yeah.
Then like if you have a good story, then good storytelling always come and goes. It's just like a life, right? Like if life has up and down. So like I felt like whenever you're a spin class, I noticed because I've been to a different like a spin class before, and it was like boom, 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 you know, get tired. Hey, let's hustle, hustle, and then whatever. But your spin class with the music also like your, I don't know if I can say performance.
Yeah,
or
but
you know like
just like being present in the coaching.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah.
It's that you had it like from okay, up and down, and then you're talking about telling the story about like get better, and then let's bring the community together, and then like you're doing this for you, like whatever you said today, I mean, it just hit me, and it was like it was not workout experience, almost like a meditation experience.
Yeah,
you know?
I really try. Everyone has their own vibe too.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, you know, I have a team of, now that we have all of the different locations, I think our team is about like 28 people who teach spin, and everyone teaches it differently. We all have our own style, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is connect with people and give them an experience. And for me, I would say my vibe is very much, it's form, it's making sure you're doing it right, so that your power comes from the correct place and you actually feel something. Then it's self and connectivity to the self. I want you to be with you when you're doing that workout. And then it's the journey that you go on through that time. And like you said, not everyone is the best. Not every time you step in there is going to be your highest stats. What I want to motivate my riders to do is look at themselves, look at the week you're having, look at how you're walking into this space, and decide what you actually need from this. Creating a habit and doing something often, we tend to get in these like loops or holes. And like, that's why, you know, people decide to not do it for a month or something because they get sick of it. But I think it's because they're looking at it as a chore versus looking at it as a gift to yourself. And I always present to my classes that this is a gift for you to yourself today. To enter into this space is a gift for you. And how can you utilize that gift? Some days you're going to give yourself the gift of a salad that you've been wanting the whole week, right? Some days you're going to give yourself the gift of quiet time for 30 minutes by yourself. Some days you're going to give yourself the gift of going out and having a sexy cocktail with your friends. Someday you're going to give yourself the gift of a manicure and a pedicure, right? Like, your gift to yourself is not the same every day. So coming into a class and expecting that it's going to be the same, or that you can just follow this one track mind and it's going to make you happy every time is not the case. The way you have to look at it is like, okay, I have 8 shows this week and I'm teaching 9 classes. When I walk into my friend's class to go take it, I'm not going to expect to be the best on the stats board. I'm going in there to not only be inspired by her, but to give myself the space to be in my body, to feel my muscles working, and to get out of the busyness of today. And so I don't even turn on my screen some days. I don't even turn on my stats some days because that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the final product all the time.
It's like your expectation dictates a lot of things, right? I mean, like I love how you said it. It doesn't really matter, but like also like how you're doing it and then you're feeling your body. That's the goal, whatever. And then I've heard from one of my mixed martial art instructor because of we were talking about like you know how to win sparring session every time. I'm like, what, like be strong and kick and punch, you know? I don't know. And then he told me that, the if you don't have to win the match, or you don't have to win the sparring to win the sparring. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, if you go spar, say maybe that guy is maybe a black belt, or like whoever who is like so much better person than you, and then try to win that sparring match, or the match will be probably impossible. However, you say your goal would be don't quit on this session. Now, if you don't quit that session, you're winning.
You've won. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That is exactly it. And it's like, people will feel like they need to leave something because they're looking at it like, I'm going to win against the black belt every single time. It's like, no, you will not. When you are exhausted in life, but you have created a habit, or you're really trying to push and create something for yourself, there are going to be days that suck.
Yeah.
There are going to be days that you barely got out of bed, you barely made it to class, you barely were able to kick.
Yeah.
You were barely able. But knowing that your intention that day is not to be perfect. Yeah. Your intention is to keep going, or your intention is to create that space for yourself to learn.
Yeah.
Your intention is to be messy and for it to be okay. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the humanity of having a habit or having a thing that you're pursuing.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's not always the highs. You have the valleys and the peaks, and you might be having a really big thing happening in your life. You might have a death in the family in your big match. And it's like, am I going to cancel the match, or am I going to decide to show up and just know who I am today?
Yeah.
And let that inspire me today.
Exactly.
And know that it might not be perfect. I might not be at my best, but I'm still going to show up for me, because the habit of it is what matters. I was just telling my friend at coffee right before this, I read Twyla Tharp's Creative Habit every year. And one of her first chapters, she talks about discipline in your habits, and how just by creating that discipline in your life, you're setting yourself up for that success and that freedom in your creativity. And she says, I go to the gym every day. This woman went to the gym until she was wrinkly. She always went to the gym every morning. But she said, my habit was not going to the gym every morning. My habit was calling the cab to take me there. Because it's the activity of getting there that mattered the most. She was like, it doesn't matter what I did when I got there. Some days I would stand in the studio and stretch. Some days I would do my best work. Some days I would lift heavier than I'd ever lifted. But what mattered was that she got there. And I think that that's what matters the most when it comes to taking a class. It's you got there.
Yeah.
Now where are you? And then you go from there.
Yeah.
And that's when you don't get sick of it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's when you don't lose sight of it, because you are, every single time you clip into the bike, every single time you go into a match or practice or go train at the gym or go take a yoga class, you decide that that's going to look different than it did yesterday, and it's going to look different than it does today.
Yeah.
And tomorrow and the next day. And you can win that class if you're honest with yourself about what that looks like for you that day.
Yeah.
Then
that won't be perfect for picture perfect and then a big scheme of thing. But if you just look at it down to smaller scale, what you're doing for that day, that moment, then that will become perfect in a way.
You gave yourself the gift, or you won. It's truly, we spend so much time in this world expecting to be, it's that instant gratification mindset, I think, where we see the results and we get the feedback so fast on Instagram. We just see these highlight reels of life.
Yeah.
And it's something that I really pride myself in is I never want to see a highlight reel of myself. I don't want to project that out into the universe. I just don't think it's real, and I don't think it's healthy. And so I don't want you to come into a space that I am leading thinking that you're just going to live this highlight reel it's never going to work that way. Life does not work that way.
Yeah.
But we want it to so bad.
Yeah.
We want to be perfect so fast. And a lot of my newer people come into class, I don't want them to leave discouraged because they didn't do everything perfectly. Like, I make sure to talk to each one of them and be like, hey, you're not going to be able to do this whole thing.
Yeah.
If you've never done this before, there is no way you are going to do everything that I ask you to do. And that is beautiful because look at how far you can grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, look at how much you can learn.
Yeah.
When I first started dancing, I couldn't do, you know, the Dying Swan solo from Swan Lake. Like, no, that takes years and years and years and years and years of even learning the steps. Then you learn the artistry. Then you learn like how to control your muscles like a swan. Like you can't just do that in one day. You can't win a match against a black belt in one day.
Yeah.
And so why do we assume that we're going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
In everything in life, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to set you up for the play and the creativity and the discovery of, wow, where can I grow?
Yeah. Get rich quick scheme, right?
Yeah. Like what is that even going to do for you, right? When I got to college, I was a dance major in college at OCU, and we were in levels for our dance technique classes. And it was like from 1 to 8, or like basic movement to 8. And I remember when I got there, I was put in like level 5 or 6 or something. And I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm so much better than that. I want to be an 8. And I had a friend who was an 8 from freshman year on. And, you know, I watched that friend, and they were an amazing artist, incredible dancer. But I feel like I actually got to grow because I ended in the highest levels.
Nice.
And
isn't that OCU has like a best like a dance?
Yeah, they have an incredible program. Yeah. It's musical theater based dance. So you get tap, you get jazz, you get like some hip hop. Now we have they do like a Rockette style class that my dear friend and collaborator, who I choreograph with, he teaches it. And he worked at Radio City and with Fosse. And it's like they do that precision style that not really anything else is offering. So they're trying to set you up for a career on Broadway or Rockettes or on cruise ships, and they do an amazing job. But it's like if I walked in at level 8, I could just stay at level 8 and be comfortable, you know, and that's comfortable, and I've already made it to the top. So the idea of like, if you already are at that point, how do you stay inspired, right? Or you start at a lower level and then you actually grow to end at a higher place where you feel like you've grown. And that's also a thing that I think is important, is if you are starting to master something, how can you stay curious about how to continue to get better? Yeah. Right? Because it's like, I've been in films. I watch people who are like incredible actors who are making A24 films, who are out there doing the thing. And it's like, how do they stay curious? Yeah. Because they have everything they've ever wanted. Yeah. You know? And like, that's why I watch interviews. That's why I love this kind of stuff, because if you just stay stagnant, then there's nowhere to grow. But if you have somewhere to grow from, or you look at every day and you see where you could grow just that day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's
and
just
then, and then like I was like listening to research the other day that like, whenever you start doing the new things, it almost like if people talk about like 10,000 hour kind of stuff, right? To master your craft, it takes 10,000 hours. And then like that research was showing you can pretty much learn anything in 20 hours. Yeah. Like if you want to learn how to play a guitar, like 20 hours will get you play a song. Yeah. 20 hours will get you probably do a spin class semi-decently. Yeah. 20 hours will probably get you speak one language, little bit of like, let me introduce myself, my name is, where's bathroom, whatever, you know. 21 hours will get you there. But after 20 hours to be a master, those 80% of time you're going to be like stagnant. To be able to do a master, only 20% or less percentage of people do longer than 10,000 hours or more, they become master. So a lot of people is average in the middle, because it's, you're saying like they lose the curiosity. I thought that was like interesting. Some people say most people doesn't even start.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
but,
true. Yeah.
but most people start it and they can get it at 20 hours. But I was always curious because, you know, whenever after went to your spin class, but also I see your social media and then like you do acting and then now we be talking the kind of stuff of right now. Then like I was like, man, you have like a presence of yourself, right? You got a confidence. You're saying like a public speaking stuff is a lot of people's fear, but I don't feel like you have any of that. But I was like curious, like, were you born with that confidence, or do you practice your confidence or positivity?
That is a really great question. I was absolutely not born with this confidence. I was born with a mother with a lot of confidence and a father with a lot of confidence. So I had a great example of taking up space and knowing your worth. But I mean, I would be lying to say that I could always be this way. Especially when I was in college, went through a lot of that soul searching of who the hell am I? What am I doing? I'm not worthy of this. Like, we all have that like thing in our brains that repeats itself, that dark space. And mine was always, I'm not enough. It was always, I have to prove myself to everyone around me. I have to show that I'm worthy, especially with that like system that I was in. You keep having to prove yourself. And
like a dance
yeah. And when you grow up looking in the mirror every day, I mean, you're always picking yourself apart. And I was always picking myself apart. And I had a confidence because I loved what I did. But I loved what I did enough to sacrifice myself for it. And I think what I learned through that sacrifice was that I didn't even know who I was at all. And I went through a long-term eating disorder, in and out of college. I took a long time having to pursue the opposite of I am not enough, which is I am more than enough. And I am so grateful to have a partner who is incredibly authentically himself and would look at me and be like, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Who says you have to live life this way? That's all you, dude. That's all you. And as I started to get older, I started to realize like I was putting my worth in everybody else's hands but my own. And I think in recovery from my eating disorder, in just an exploration of this craft, like being an actor, the most successful actors and the most successful people I've ever met are people who know themselves. And I woke up one day, and I mean, I've done a lot of work on finding myself in different ways and different experiences. I think that I woke up to the fact that I had not given myself any space to be curious about me. I wanted to be like a placeholder of everybody else's thing that they wanted me to be in. Like when you're an actor, you fill voids. But I realized that I wasn't being curious about me. I wasn't taking time to read books anymore. I wasn't taking time to do things that weren't about my job. You know, I wasn't taking in anything. And so I was just kind of this shell of a person. And I was sad. I was like depressed and anxious because I was waiting for the next thing. I was always waiting for the next thing because that was going to be what made me worth it, made me worthy, made me something, was the job or the affirmation from somebody outside of me. And it wasn't until I realized that I could be worthy every day. I just need to pursue me. That's when things started to change.
What was the action step you took? Like, curious about yourself, and how do you find yourself?
I mean, I think truly starting to I am queer. I am non-monogamous. I am definitely someone who flies in their own world, but I've always felt very like shameful of that. I think like tapping into my queerness, tapping into my eccentricness, like, and just knowing like who you are is fine. Like who you are is beautiful. And just allowing myself to let go of these fears that I wasn't going to be what people wanted to see me as.
Yeah.
You know, leaning into things that made me happy, like singing and dancing and making videos and making characters up and going and being alive and connecting with people. And I don't know, I just started living alive and centered in that, and finding spaces where people wanted to know me.
Right.
And finding friends that would call me out on my bullshit if I wasn't, you know, and finding people and surrounding myself with people who I thought were the most beautiful versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And having people who were curious about how I was actually doing, you know, like I think when you're in recovery from an eating disorder or someone who is a depressed and anxious person, like it's very easy to feel very isolated.
Yeah.
And within that isolation, feeling very stuck and very confused at like, how could I possibly start over?
Yeah.
How could I possibly become something if I feel like absolute garbage?
Right.
And it's like I surrounded myself with the most incredible people who would just inspire me every day to ask myself questions and get deeper back into what I wanted, like who I want to be. And the sky's the limit when you have people surrounding you who sharpen you.
Yeah.
You know, and I could never have done that alone. I could never have found myself alone, which sounds so wild. But when you have people who give you the space and the time and the love, when you're needing to pick up the pieces,
right,
hold a little bit of your weight here and there and just like give you that love and that support to just keep following what feels right to you.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
totally makes sense to me because I think a lot of people like a self-development, I guess, books or industry or like people, right? And then they talk about big thing is like a let it go, right? Like how can I let things go? Like nobody gives you like a tangible say, hey, if you do push up 10 times, you can let things go, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not, it's a mental thing. It's like, it's hard. And then like for me, you know, like a journaling helped, going to therapy helped and all that kind of stuff. But can I pinpoint one thing? I don't think I can.
Yeah.
And then like finding a people like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like surround yourself with the right people. And at some point, while you're doing it, if you get up in the morning, if you go outside and then you, like you're saying, like live your life, and at some point you will have epiphany to let things go, like because of like a lot of things, that life-changing moment of finding yourself or finding myself or whatever it is, going through like a mental depression. End of the day, like I think I don't know if that's like a kind of like relatable to you, but most of the times whenever I go through like a depression and the dark times, and then whenever I come out of it, my thought is like, oh damn, I was stupid.
Yeah, no, I understand.
This is so simple.
Like I'm putting so much weight on, putting so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm putting so much value on
like what other people think.
Yeah, and like watching, again, it's like that, watching people in your life succeed, or like being on social media too much and just seeing like all these highlight reels and thinking you're not doing enough. Like thinking, oh my God, how could I possibly be what I want to be in this world if I don't have enough money and I don't have enough success and I'm not on the next job, and it gets so overwhelming and paralyzing. And it's like, you forget that it's not about the money and it's not about the jobs. It is literally about you, yourself. That is your success. Every day winning you. And so it's like right now I don't have a show lined up. I don't know what's next for me. And today I had coffee with a new friend of mine who is also an actor, and I feel lighter than I've felt in a long time because we connected and were inspired by one another and collaborated. And that was not a monetary value, but that is invaluable to me because that woke me up in my artistry.
Yeah.
And it's like having that person in my life means more to me than if I were to have to show up on a film set today that I didn't actually care about, you know, like a story that I didn't really actually want to tell. Like, I would so much rather have an inspired life. Like, go sit by Lake Hefner and let the water inspire me. Like, some time and some space with myself, you know? Like, you don't have to, I don't know, you don't have to just have everything set up.
Yeah.
You can just,
I mean, that'd be boring life, right?
yeah, right? You just get to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, well then where's the fight?
Yeah.
Where's the care? Where's the motivation if you just get everything handed to you?
Yeah, for sure. And then like, so you've been acting a lot, and then like, you're talking about, you know, Oklahoma films and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so can you tell like a couple of projects you've been working on?
Yeah, one of our films that we made a couple of years ago now, Chicken House, did really well in the festival circuit. Directed by Kate Jones. She's incredible. She's a really awesome artist, and like, I super value her friendship and just her brain. She would love to hear. I mean, she's just off the wall, and she is a very authentic artist. That's something I so value in her. And we made Chicken House with a tiny budget, skeleton crew. I mean, everyone did multiple jobs. Like, people who acted in it. I also was a script supervisor. I also helped our set designer get things for the set. Like, we were vigilante filmmaking.
Yeah, for sure.
But honestly, I think that within that structure lies so much freedom. Kate directed it, wrote it, acted in it, and had food poisoning for like most of the shoot. Ooh. We did it in like, I want to say 9 days with like barely any budget. And we made an 82-minute film. I mean, it was like summer camp, you know? And everybody who worked on that project still is like, God, I love you. Because we did that. You know, it was like such a conquered piece. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm really proud of what it was. And I know Kate is too. And to make something within all of those limitations that you're still proud of, and that is received really well, is so awesome. And I applaud Kate and the team so much for getting through that in one piece, because that was hard. Yeah. It was really hard. But I think it was just so fun. I think that the beautiful thing about a lot of Oklahoma film and indie film is that we might not have the budget, we might not have the time, we might not have all the resources, but we do have the heart. Yeah. And I think that that tells more of a story most of the time than anything. I love, there's a filmmaker from the 40s, Maya Deren, and she made Meshes in the Afternoon and a bunch of other pieces. And she was able, in her curiosity, to make film that was way ahead of its time. I mean, she learned how to make 3 of herself in one shot in the 40s. She was trying to traverse different spaces, so she would do shots on, and this is on film, where like she'd step on one terrain and then the next shot would be her stepping on another terrain. Wow. And it would just like show a passage of space and time in a very quick amount of time. And she was so curious, but she had no money. She said in an essay, I make my movies for what Hollywood pays for their lipstick. Mm. But her films, when you watch them, are fascinating and inspired and cool and weird. And like, that's what I loved about making Chicken House, is it's fascinating and inspired and cool and weird. And we made it with no money, like barely any money. And that's the shit I love. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, I don't want to be on a film that is just there to make money if it doesn't have any sort of substance. Yeah. I've actually stopped submitting for a lot of things that I don't believe in, because I'm like, I don't want my name on this. Yeah. So I would much rather, like, someone else I really value in the film world here is Mickey Reese, and I think that he does an amazing job of not putting himself in places he doesn't want to be. Like, yeah. I love seeing all of these friends and artists around me doing the things that authentically feel like them. Yeah. And they don't bother themselves with the urgency of needing to be on this next thing, because they know that that next thing will happen when they're ready for it, and they're patient, and they involve themselves in the things that do matter to them, you know?
What do you think about the, like, because lately I've been struggling with what is more authentic or, like, getting inspired by other people. Meaning, like, I see all sorts of, like, creative content creators, like, who's making cool reels. And then, like, man, I'm inspired. Like, I want to make something like this. And then I know I can. But, like, some people, like, I'm talking to, is like, well, you don't have to really mimic everybody. I'm not trying to mimic. I'm trying to make my own. But also, I get inspired other people. Like, but it's like a trend. But I don't know. Like, am I just trying to be somebody else, or like, am I like just getting inspired to express myself? Like,
I have a phrase for you that I think will help you, and it's one of my favorite phrases because we create everything, you know, like everything is created because something else was created because something else was created. And my favorite thing to say is steal like an artist. If you like something that someone's doing, steal it, but make it yours. And not only, if you steal like a thief, then you will just recreate what they have made. If you steal like an artist, you will understand that you authentically have your own vision for it. Right? Like people in the spin world, some people are really, really weird about their music that they play in class. And they try to safeguard their playlists and try not to let anyone see what they're playing because they're afraid that someone is going to steal it and use it. But it's like anyone who understands what a spin class is should know that if someone else uses that song, it will be a completely different thing. They will teach a completely different program to that song if they are stealing like an artist. Because if I use a song that my friend used in class 3 days ago, I'm going to coach it completely differently than she does because I am me. If I looked at it and I took down every note and I wrote down every single thing that she said during that song and I just repeated that, then I'm a thief. But if I take that song and I let it inspire me, and I do what I want to do with it, how could I possibly be stealing it in a way that isn't serving me? You know? Wow. So if you see that reel and you're like, man, I love the way they edited that. I want to edit a piece like that. And you use their editing style, but you make something with content that means something to you.
Yeah.
Have you stolen or have you just learned? You know?
Yeah.
Have you been inspired and learned a way to tell a story? Like any filmmaker, right? Like filmmakers nowadays, they'll use the like certain shots. Like, oh, I want this one to be like a Kubrick shot. I want this one to be like a, you know.
Hitchcock.
Yeah. I want it to be a Hitchcock shot. Yeah. I want to see him in the mirror too in this shot. And that's a Hitchcock shot. Yeah. Because in the mirror, you know that this person is a different, hiding their identity a little bit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so is a filmmaker stealing by doing that? Or are they being inspired by someone who told a really good story? Yeah. You know? And they're just utilizing something that people now know works.
Yeah.
And psychologically, it's appealing. Like that reel was appealing to you for a reason. Why wouldn't you want to make something like that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Of course you do. If I see...
I love that.
Yeah. If I see a piece that inspires me, I want to be able to steal a little piece of it for me.
Yeah.
Because that's what inspiration is. Like somebody created this and then someone saw it and then they created something else. It's like dance specifically, I think, is a stealing mechanism because we dance to music that's already created most of the time.
Right.
So...
But you kind of put it together.
Yeah, and it's my job to do that justice.
Yeah.
It's like if someone releases a cover of a song, but they do an amazing job and they make it their own, sometimes people don't even know it's a cover.
Yeah. Because,
man, that just feels like them. And it's a worthy piece of art, even though it belonged to someone else first.
Yeah.
Danielle Ponder has a gorgeous cover of the song Creep by Radiohead. We all know it's Creep by Radiohead. But the way that she sings it is completely different. And it's beautiful. Huh. And it's its own entity, you know?
Makes sense.
But if she just said, oh, I made this up myself, of course she'd be stealing. Of course you didn't make up that song. Tom York wrote that song.
Right.
But you know that it's not yours, but you made it yours.
Right.
And it's beautiful. And I love it, and I listen to it often.
Steal like an artist.
Steal like an artist.
Man,
it's
I
the
love
best.
That. Man, that will help me. Dude, so much because, you know, I love this podcast and stuff, and every one of the guests and like brings me so much to learn, and it's awesome. And then, yeah, I would like to talk about your relationship.
Yeah.
Like you were talking to me about, you know, you are married,
Mm-hmm.
you have open relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and then like, can you kind of talk to me about it?
Yeah. I think there are so many ways to love, and living in this country, based in Christianity mostly, there are certain expectations that you learn from a very young age. Like, this is what I need to want. Like, I want to have a husband, and I want to have a wedding, and I want to have this life, because that's what you see, and that's what's reflected in a lot of art. At least for our generation growing up, like, we saw white picket fence as what we were looking for in life. We saw complicated relationships between a man and a woman. We saw that on screen, and that's what we were taught. Like, I grew up in a Catholic church in Massachusetts. Like, you don't even think about being queer. Like, that's just not something you ever think about. I mean, I was in high school, even middle school. Like, I look back at myself and I'm like, oh my God, how did you not know you were queer? Because I went to sleepovers with girls, and I was so weird. Like, I would sleep on the couch by myself because they would all like snuggle, and I would feel things that I didn't know what they were yet, you know? Anyways, I think as I got older, I fell in love with my partner when I was 18, and I met him, and I was like, oh shit, I love you. Like, you are the kind of person that I want to be with. And it was just very, very evident when I met him that he was going to challenge me, and he was going to hold space for me. And he helped me be the more authentic version of myself. Like I said, like, he held that space for me to grow into who I am today. I stole a lot of him to be me. Yeah. And I mean, I love just the confidence and the authenticity that he is in himself. And he inspires me every day to be better. And I think that a long time in our relationship, we are both queer. And we realized just that first, like, I can't give you everything that you are attracted to. Like, I can't give you every experience that you would probably want in your life if you want to be a fully formed person in yourself, in who you are. I could never safeguard a part of you and not allow you to ever have that. You know, like, you deserve to have that. In my opinion, you should be able to live a life that is fully authentic to you. And so just because we got together at 18, I don't want you to think that you can't see that part of yourself or discover that part of yourself. And I remember him looking at me and being like, Kaylene, you know you're gay, right? And I was like, what? He's like, you know that you're attracted to women, right? And I was like, no, what do you mean? And he was like, what do you feel like when you like watch porn or whatever? Like, what do you watch? And I was like, well, I watch women. And he's like, together? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know that not everyone does that, right? Not everyone feels things watching that. And I was like, okay, shit. And he's like, okay, so like these people in your life, like, what do you feel about them? I'm like, well, they're so hot. And he's like, well, you know that people don't just think that, right? Like, and he just was like, Kaylene, you are not allowing yourself to be you. And very early on in that relationship, like a few years in, he was like, I really think that you should see if you actually are queer. Cause like, I'm pretty sure you are, bitch. Pretty sure you are. And
so you guys are married at the time?
No, we weren't married yet, but we'd been together for about 2 years. Okay. And he was like, you should be able to explore that. And so we kind of like spent time exploring what we were attracted to and like people in our lives, and like we're allowed to have intimacy with other people. And honestly, it brought us so much closer because it was like I didn't feel like I was owned. And I think a lot of the time with monogamy, people think that they own their partner. And people think that their partner is not going to ever be attracted to another person ever again. That is ridiculous to think about. Like, you are always going to have people that you're attracted to in life, and people that make you feel some sort of way, right? And it's like, you can choose not to partake in that, or because we found in a lot of different trials and tribulations, like we went through moments of like not being like infidelity, right? We had moments when we were very young that like we were in dark places trying to fill voids and not communicating really well. And we cheated on each other. And what we learned from that was like, what was I missing from you then? But then also, why was I feeling the need to connect with that person, right? And like, where's the line drawn? And so I think as we got healthier and better with our communication, we just realized like, I have a lot of love to give, and I can be attracted to multiple people. And where do we feel safe and comfortable exploring that? Is that something we want to say absolutely don't ever do? Or is that something that like is ingrained in us? And we realized that it is ingrained in us. And we spent a lot of time long distance. I moved to New York. Well, he left school, so we were long distance for like 2 years of school. Then I left and went on tour for a year. And then I moved to New York first. And it's like, when you spend time away from a person, you realize like that person cannot, at least I realized, I won't speak for the masses, but I realized I can't expect one person to be able to give me everything I ever want all the time. And that creates an immense pressure on your partner. Like, we have different like sexual needs, we have different emotional needs, and to expect that my partner is going to be at 100% ready to give me all of those things all the time is just not real. And so already having practiced openness, we realized that like maybe it's better if sometimes I don't expect you to want to have sex with me all the time. Maybe we need to just be together, and sometimes I'll go have sex with someone else, and that's okay. Like, and it just created a level of connection and communication in our relationship that honestly I don't see very often. And I know for a fact that it has made our relationship so strong to the point where there are certain people who look at me like I'm speaking another language when I talk about this, because it is just, it's very unconventional to what we've learned as a society. I spent a lot of time unlearning because it just didn't feel right to me. And also it's just, like I said, there's no reflection. Like, now we're getting somewhere with reflection of like non-monogamy and queerness and all of that in culture and in film and in television, finally. But I had no idea what I was doing when this was going on. I just knew what I felt, and I knew what he and I would talk about. And at the end of the day, like, that exploration taught me so much about love and about connection and about being a person. And I hope within my artistry to tell more of those stories.
So like, is there like, so there's no infidelity in open relationship?
Well, I mean, you can absolutely cheat in an open relationship because everybody has their own boundaries that they set with their partner, right? Like, an open relationship doesn't mean I can just go do whatever the hell I want. An open relationship means that you communicate about what is okay and what is not within the realms of your world. And that could change day by day. We try not to safeguard or like set too many rules because everybody wants to break rules. And also, like, rules don't really help with the freedom element. But boundaries are really important. It's like, you might be able to go and have an intimate moment with someone, but I would really appreciate if you were protected. Or I would really like to meet them if you want to see them romantically. Like, there are certain things that's like, these are boundaries that people just set, right? Or, hey, I just want you to know I'm probably not going to come home tonight. I love you though. You know, like just think the communication that is so minuscule, but reminds that person that they're valued. And so, yeah, I mean, it started with a lot more rules just because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Gotcha.
You know, it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to go on a date with this person. But it's like, what does that mean?
Right.
I'm going to go on a date with this person. Well, it would make me feel really comfortable if you came home tonight. Okay, great. I will come home. Thank you for telling me that. That's what the communication leads to. It's like, I want to feel safe as you are exploring what you need to explore for yourself.
Do you tell the other person you're in an open relationship?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. I would never just go out with someone and not tell them who I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think communication is key in everything.
Right.
And to build a relationship on a rocky ground is just not going to do anything anyways. So, I mean, I'm very clear with people, like, this is who I am. I'm married. I've been with my partner for 8.5 years. I love connecting and I love being open with who I am. And I'm not afraid of connecting and loving and being intimate. And so if that's cool with you, I will go out with you. But if that's not what you're looking for, don't bother. Don't bother with me because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to make you feel weird. I don't want any of that. But if you are also non-monogamous or you're also someone who like is free in connection or you aren't trying to be in a relationship or maybe you are, like, I just want you to know who I am coming into this because I have had relationships with people who think that they are okay with that and then clearly at the end of the day just cannot handle that.
I bet.
Because like there's a lot where if you are someone who genuinely is monogamous and you are trying to date someone who is not, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I dated someone who I still love to this day. And it was a very beautiful relationship and very complex and gorgeous. But they couldn't ever have loved me because they wanted to own me and they wanted me to be their only partner forever. And that's not who I am. And so they could never have loved me for who I am.
Yeah.
Even though our relationship was beautiful, at the end of the day, there was that final, this isn't going to happen.
Right.
Because you don't actually want who I am. Who I am is a non-monogamous person who is in a relationship with like a primary partner, my primary partner of 8.5 years. And that primary partner intimidates you and you don't want to be a part of it.
Makes sense.
But there are a lot of people who practice this and have multiple partners and live a beautiful life, who have children, who have like so much goodness in their lives. But people are uncomfortable about it, about that being a reality. And I don't know, everyone's allowed to have their own version of love, you know? Like, not all of us are going to prescribe to the same mindset.
Yeah.
And to think that that monogamy and like a very strict idea of love is the only way to love. I mean, I had a financial accounting professor in college who used to say, like, because you know how so many math teachers and like they'll tell you have to use this one equation.
Right.
And he would always say, like, there's a million ways to get to Walmart.
Yeah.
He'd say, I don't care how you solve the problem. If you solve it and you get the right answer, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing when it comes to anything in your life. Like, if you want to love, if you can find your own route to what love means to you, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But why should I tell you how to love someone?
Right.
Who am I to say what your rule book is?
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that like watching anyone love in the way that is the most authentic to them is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and I see a lot of people love in a way that's not authentic to them and they aren't happy.
Yeah, that is true.
And I have a lot of people ask me questions about my lifestyle because I think a lot of people would love to have a life like mine, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I try to tell them, like, that does not happen overnight. It's like that same thing that we were talking earlier about, like, you don't just get to have it.
Yeah.
You have to work really hard to build that.
Yeah.
And that level of communication is a really heightened level of communication.
Probably communication, and then, yeah, I mean, like,
trust.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't expect someone to just let you fly free if
Yeah.
they've never known you before.
yeah.
So you also
makes
have to
sense.
be willing to spend time getting to know someone, especially if you've never been non-monogamous before and your partner has never been non-monogamous before, but you want to try it out. You still have to build a trust with your primary partner and respect them as a person in order to have that freedom. If you just run around doing whatever you want, you might as well be single, you know?
Yeah.
But if you respect the process of creating an openness in your life and you give yourself the space to know, like, okay, I deserve and I value myself, I want to do this for me, you also have to listen to if your partner doesn't want that for you. But you also have to question, why don't they want that for me?
Yeah.
Because if it's coming from a place of ego or jealousy, that's a conversation. If it's coming from a place of true concern about you, that's because they love you. You know, there's so much stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. People think it is just a free pass to have a lot of sex and go out and have a lot of fun. And it's not. It's actually super complicated, but at the end of the day, incredibly rewarding and beautiful. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm really grateful to have the life that I've built. And I still have so much work to do on it, you know? And like, it's a constant curiosity
Yeah.
to be pursuing a life of openness. And, you know, it's going to look different in different times too. And understanding that, like, if we ever want to have a child, what does it look like then? Maybe we close it down for a little bit so we can focus on building this child.
Yeah.
Or maybe if there's someone in our lives that matters at that point, they can be a part of raising that child. Like, who knows? The sky's the limit. We've had a relationship together. Like, my partner and I dated a person together. And that was so challenging because it's like there's so much going on with.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of love, but there's also a lot of fear and a lot of conflict and a lot of emotion and a lot of expectation. It's a really challenging lifestyle, but it's also when you know that's who you are, you lean in. And again, that's another way that I've found the authentic, I don't give a fuck what you think of me self that I am. It's because I'm not afraid of who I am anymore. And I'm not afraid to tell you these things because I want people to know that it's normal. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm living a beautiful life and I'm a good person. I'm not an evil person trying to spread that everyone needs to be this way. I'm just saying this is who I am.
Yeah.
And this is how I love.
Yeah.
And if that scares you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I would never tell anyone how to love.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I respect that, you know, a lot. And people, I believe, like, if everybody have a different happiness, different love, and then it's not anybody's business to tell people how to live.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't really know, you know, I can do open relationship. I don't know. I've never done it. And I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, social norm is kind of like, you know, go to college, get married, have a kids, and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe that one bit, you know? So, like, that's kind of the thing is, like, whatever I feel is good, you know, like, even I don't have an open relationship, that's who I am, and then that's okay.
Yeah,
you know? And
it's
so
beautiful.
Like, it's kind of like I don't know. I respect that, you know, that you are open talk about this, and I think, like, you know, some people need to listen, and I think, you know, the people who, I guess, criticize somebody else's love or criticize somebody else's living is the people who are not really trying.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters people who criticize.
Or it's people who prescribe
Yeah.
to something that's convenient.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at the divorce rates in this country,
Yeah.
you look at the way that a lot
Like
of
it's 40, 60%.
love,
Yeah.
you know, they're not willing, or they're just not looking and being honest with who they are.
Yeah.
Like, and so you enter into these relationships, you make a pact that is legal, and you don't actually know who you're with. You haven't spent the time to like be scared, be intimidated. I mean, of course, I get jealous all the time still. It's not that you're never going to be jealous, that you're just going to have a good life. No, I absolutely am jealous sometimes. I absolutely am protective. And it scares the shit out of me sometimes. But that's the gorgeousness of it. It's like I know that my partner has the capacity to love more than me. And how beautiful is that? He still chooses to love me. I still choose to love him. At the end of the day, our relationship is a choice. That's it. It's an exchange of energy. And it's just wild to me that people think I'm going to sign a paper and everything's going to be fine. Yeah. And I'm just going to own this person for the rest of my life. And they're just going to stay with me because they have to. Yeah. It's like I am so aware, and my partner is so aware, that tomorrow we could choose to leave each other. And we say this, like, this would not be a shock to him. Like, he says this to me all the time. He's like, if you need to leave me, leave. Because that is not the life I want you to live. My ballet teacher, Joe Rowan, always said, you have to love someone more than you need them. And I think that is what I've learned through non-monogamy, is like, I have gotten to love so many beautiful people, and they have chosen to continue their life in a different way. But there are certain people who I've continued to love, and they just end up in my life in different capacities and like in different positions of like, I have a relationship with this person. Whenever I see them, I might kiss them on the mouth, like, and that's fine. Or, this person is someone I care about so much. Our relationship didn't work, but I'm still going to support them. And I don't need them to love me. I just appreciate them so much for the time we shared together, Yeah. And I love my partner so much that if he was unhappy in our relationship, I would want him to go find the joy. Yeah. Anybody.
Well, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's like the clearest thing to me in love. You don't get to make those choices. You don't get to prescribe what it looks like. You just have to be with another individual whole self person. Yeah. And choose them.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean that, at the end of this podcast episode, every time I ask the same question to guest, 5 years ago advice, we talked about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. What were you doing? So you say 2018, you just graduated.
Yes,
correct?
I just graduated college 2018. I had booked my first national tour. I was going to go on Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella and tour North America. Awesome. It was awesome. And I mean, at that point in my life, I was in this like mindset of, like I said, the next thing. I need to book this. And I was still kind of in that position of like, okay, I got the job. That's what my worth is the job. Being on this tour is my identity, like that's what makes me worthy. But I was still recovering from my eating disorder. I was still a highly anxious person. I was like kind of just right on that cusp of like trying to find myself, like I got the job that I wanted, but I don't think I had a clue who I was, I was really proud of myself for finishing college and immediately getting a job that I wanted and being able to save money so that I could move to New York and do the thing. But I think 2018, Kaylene like really needed to look at the mirror and like get to know herself,
What is the advice you say? What about advice you give to yourself?
Advice for my 2018 self? Yeah, absolutely. It would just be to be more curious about you, like it took so many more years than I needed to remind myself that I'm an artist. And I think that I would love to tell her to like keep pursuing her artistry even when she has the job. Like, the job doesn't matter. It's like, who are you? Who are you? And I just don't think I was being me. I think I was just like a shell of me. So I think that I would tell her to like be curious and pursue herself and give herself a fucking break. Like, I was on tour still submitting for stuff, still trying to get the next thing and stressing myself out.
Yeah.
And not like, I mean, I would go sometimes and explore the cities, and I loved doing that, but I wish that I had just lived more in the moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And just savored what I had and been content for a second, instead of like so hyper fucking focused on being the best. It's like, just be you.
Yeah.
I think that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Be you.
I mean, I love that, you know, I mean, contentment, and sometimes, and then, I mean, you said a lot of times that being curious, and then being curious is good, you know, then like you can be curious and learn and grow, and then also you can live in the moment because you are interested in the life you're living in at the moment. So I think I love how you said like be curious and all that kind of stuff, you know. How about 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
How do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hope in 5 years that I am waking up every day doing what I love. And I want to be somebody who is telling stories and facilitating spaces that illuminate the world that I want to see. And so I want to be collaborating with people that I trust and love. I want to be making movies. I want to be making theater. I want to be bringing people together who are in that same space as me, you know? And I want to be providing work to people. I want to be unifying. I've noticed that what I love to do is show people how awesome other people are. You know, like I love to support my local artist friends, my musician friends, my theater friends, my acting friends, my director friends. Like, I have so many people in my life who are beautiful at what they do. And I want to be someone who unites that and who continues to create community. And yeah, I just see myself really blossoming in the next 5 years in that. And I don't need to be the lead of a movie in Hollywood to do that well. I think I would rather take the time to create a community that I trust and love and that inspires me than get fame and fortune. And I've realized that, and that is the scariest thing, because you grow up when you're studying dance, acting, whatever, and I'm like, I want to be on Broadway, I want to be in Hollywood, I want to whatever. And I've realized that that doesn't mean happiness. That doesn't mean success. Sure, it's good money and it's bigger market. But I've realized that my success from teaching spin, from being a part of this place again, moving back 3 years ago, my success has been in people and connection and community and collaboration. And so if I can wake up every day 5 years from now and feel satisfied in that, it doesn't matter where the hell I am. It doesn't matter what scale I'm working at. If I get to do that, I will be pleased.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how can people find you?
Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at K to the lean. You got to spell it out. KAYTOTHELENE. That's my Instagram. I do a lot of my stuff out there. I also have a website, KayleneSnarsky.com. You can catch my classes at CYCLEBAR, Class and Curve, and Chisholm Creek. I teach like 8 times a week, so it's easy to find me. I host karaoke on Thursdays at PonyBoy. And then I'm generally just around in the community. So if there's a big event or live music, I'll probably be there. I spend a lot of time at the Flea Dive Bar, OKC. But no, I definitely follow me and connect with me, reach out if there's anything like you hear on this and you want to talk about it. I'm an open book. So I hope that people know I'm not scary. You can come chat with me. I love getting coffee. I love connecting with anyone. So
awesome.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to you, and then
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming. And then thank you guys for watching. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the like button. Yeah, just comment on what do you guys think about what we talked about, or I'm curious what you guys have questions, and you guys have an opinion or whatever. I would love to hear about that. And then if you guys are listening on the podcast platform like Spotify or iTunes, please give me a 5-star review. That will help this channel. And then you guys, thank you guys for watching again, and then see you guys next Friday. Peace.